Good afternoon and welcome. We will begin services this afternoon with the rendering of military honors by the Shorewood Glen Veterans Organization. Detail.
Present. Huh. Order. Hung. Left face. Forward. Hung. I'm Bob Thomas. I'm the president of the Charlotte Glen Veteran Group. And on behalf of the Veteran Group, we want to extend our big condolences for your loss, Bob. We have the same first name. I'm a Bob. Matter of fact, there's 3 Bobs in our color guard there. But just so you understand what happened, because there was a glitch with the Army being here, Clifford Lauderdale happens to be one of our veterans. He works for the Abraham Lincoln Cemetery on the Monday squad. So he knows how to fold the flags. Thank God, because it's been a long time since I had to do that. But, and then Jim Lynch was assisting him. That was Jim Lynch's first time of doing that. But he says he's seen it enough. We had a quick rehearsal. We hope we didn't mess up too bad for you. But what we did at the end then is our final salute. We give a final salute to all our veterans that served our country honorably. It's our way of saying goodbye. Not good riddance, but you're going to see it again, you know. Right? Yeah. But, you know, I just wanted to give you a little history of it. That's our way of saying goodbye to our fellow veterans. We do it for all our veterans from Charlotte Glen. We try to. So. All right? You guys take it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
We gather this afternoon to celebrate the life of Thomas R. Swoboda, lovingly known as Tom, and to give thanks for the blessing that he was in our lives. Although his journey on this earth may have come to an end, he has left behind a legacy of love, kindness, generosity, and wisdom that will forever illuminate our paths. In times of sorrow and grief, we find solace in the bond we share as a family and as a community, united by the memories and love we hold for Tom. Together, those of us here in person and all of you joining us today over YouTube, let us embrace the healing power of coming together as one, not to mourn his death, but to honor and celebrate his life. And let us take these few moments this afternoon to cherish the memories we hold dear in our hearts, which will forever be our memory of this wonderful loved one. Now, I am at a serious disadvantage this afternoon in that I did not know Tom as all of you do. But in reading his wonderful obituary and in visiting with you, Bobby and Carrie and Dr. Tom, I was reminded of 2 poems which I think he might have picked himself for us to hear today. The first is called Let Me Go, and it was written by Christina Rossetti. When I come to the end of my day and the sun has set for me, I want no rites in a gloom-filled room. Why cry for a soul set free? Miss me a little, but not too long, not with your head bowed low. Remember the love that we once shared. Miss me, but let me go. For this is a journey we all must take, and each must go alone. It's all part of the Master's plan, a step on that long road home. So when you are lonely and sick at heart, go to the friends we know and bury your sorrow in doing good deeds. Miss me, but let me go. Tom was the beloved husband of 62 years to Roberta,
the loving father and father-in-law to Dr. Tom and Karen and Carrie and Chad, the best grampy ever to Nicholas and Maxwell, the fond brother and brother-in-law to Rachel and Rex, Gloria and Dean, Peggy, Nancy and Mike, Terry and Kathy, and Lori and Kathy, a much-loved uncle, as well as a great co-worker, mentor, fellow veteran, neighbor, and friend. What a wonderful legacy he leaves behind. It's hard to imagine life without him because he has been a part of your lives for so many years. But as the poem we just heard tells us, there comes a time when we must let him go. But it's still hard, isn't it? At times like these, it's a normal emotion to be selfish and want to keep him with us longer. But I think it's important to think less about ourselves sometimes and to think more about the blessing that Tom was in our lives. We need to think less about what we have lost, but think more about all that he has left us. If we are able to do those things and to imagine what Tom's existence and new life are like now, then maybe the words of the second poem, written by Anne Lindgren Davison, might be some other words he would like us to hear. The poem is called I'm Free. Don't grieve for me, for now I'm free. I'm following the path God laid for me. I took his hand when I heard his call. I turned my back and left it all. I could not stay another day to laugh, to love, to work or play. Tasks left undone must stay that way. I've found that peace at the close of day. If my parting has left a void, then fill it with remembered joy, a friendship shared, a laugh, a kiss. Oh yes, these things I too will miss. Be not burdened with times of sorrow. I wish you the sunshine of tomorrow. My life's been full, I've savored much. Good friends, good times, a loved one's touch. If my time seemed all too brief, don't lengthen it now with undue grief. Lift up your heart, rejoice with me. God wanted me now, he has set me free. So what about this wonderful person we have gathered to celebrate today? Thomas R. Swoboda was born September 10, 1939 in St. Joseph, Missouri, one of 4 children and the only son, born to Ralph and Verna Swoboda. He was raised in St. Joseph and was a proud graduate of St. Joseph Central High School. From 1962 to 1965, Tom served his country with honor and valor as a member of the United States Army. His career is one that could easily serve as a heartwarming script for a Hallmark movie. Beginning as a stock boy at age 19, Tom worked his way through the corporate world of the SS Kresge Company, completing their management training program and embarking on a 37-year career in management. As Kresge's grew to become the Kmart Corporation, Tom grew as well, assuming greater and greater responsibilities and accepting promotions, which led to leadership positions in Chicago, Minnesota, Iowa, and finally California for 9 years. His exceptional work ethic, leadership, and interpersonal skills then led to his appointment to the executive team of Kmart at their corporate headquarters in Troy, Michigan, outside Detroit. It is here for the next 35 years that Bloomfield Hills became home. Following his formal retirement from Kmart, Tom knew he had a great deal yet to contribute and formed Swoboda Associates, Inc., sharing his knowledge and expertise with several Fortune 500 companies eager to learn from his skills and insight. Despite his dedication to career, nothing was more important to Tom than his family and his devotion to them. His deep love for you, Bobby, is no secret. And had you not completed your secretary training and taken that job at Fort Devens, and had Tom not been posted for basic training halfway across the country at Fort Devens, who knows how different the world would be as we know it now. You dated and married a year and a half later, making your first home together, not in Missouri, not in New England, but in Germany. Like a European honeymoon of sorts, you celebrated the beginning of what would prove to be a loving marriage lasting 62 years, until his discharge and your return home to Chicago to begin his first assignment with SS Kresge. Tom's family was his everything, and his life revolved around his family. He cared deeply for Tom and Carrie. They shared with me this week how having him for their dad was the best thing in their lives. He was truly exceptional, and they benefited greatly by having a man of such great quality guiding them and protecting them. They knew with Dad in charge, everything was always going to be okay. And despite the family's many moves, Tom always made sure wherever they lived, the house or the apartment, was a loving and supportive home for Carrie and Tom. And then there were the grandsons. Like their grampy, these boys are incredibly bright, determined, and all about getting after it. To say he was incredibly proud of these two awesome young men would be an understatement. Tom truly loved his grandsons and was always there for them, talked about the boys all the time, and knew everything that was going on in their lives. He was ever present in their everyday activities and never missed a special or significant event in their lives. While Bloomfield Hills was their permanent home, Tom and Bobby also owned a lake house halfway between Detroit and Naperville. It is here that many of the aspects of the amazing bond between grandfather and grandsons truly developed and flourished. And many amazing memories spanning all three generations were made. And it wasn't just his wife and kids and grandkids who loved Tom. His sisters and their families, as well as Bobby's large family, all loved him and cared about him deeply. In addition to being a great family man, Tom cared deeply about his co-workers, neighbors, and friends. He took a sincere interest in everyone and would do anything for anyone he cared deeply about. He had a special ability that enabled him to connect with people. Tom liked sports, liked to have fun, and was fun to be around. He always had a comment to make you laugh or to lift you up when you needed a word of encouragement. As Tom and Bobby began embracing their 70s with age 80 on the horizon, the desire to move closer to family became ever more important. With Carrie in Naperville, Illinois, they chose to make their new home in Shorewood, Illinois, where the comforts and amenities of Shorewood Glen seemed well suited for the next phase of their lives. And it is here in this community on July 18, 2025, having finished the race and having fought the good fight, Tom departed this life surrounded by his loving family at the age of 85. We remember a life well lived and will forever celebrate his legacy. As I stated at the beginning, I did not know Tom as all of you do, so at this time I would like to invite Richard Telgen to come forward and share some more personal remembrances.
When I remember Tom Swoboda, I think of a proud, hardworking, loving, kind, reliable, generous, a wonderful man. He worked incredibly hard throughout his life and reached levels of success for himself and his family that reflected that work ethic. But just as much as that, he was a man who loved his family and loved God. He made sure his family and friends were always a priority. I'm proud to have had Tom as a friend, as a mentor, and in many ways as a second father. More than 40 years ago, I came to know Tom through my close friendship with his son, Tommy. Over the years, I spent a lot of time with the Swoboda family and was always welcomed and included in their home. As I moved through college and young adulthood, spending time with the family around the holiday break became a wonderful tradition for me and one that I deeply appreciated. Tom's generosity of spirit went beyond simple dinner invitations. When he was responsible for the Kmart IndyCar racing team with Mario and Michael Andretti, I was given the chance to attend multiple races like the Detroit Grand Prix and even the Indy 500, including frequent visits to the pits to come up close to the vehicles. This was a real thrill for me as a young man, and it's a memory that I still treasure to this day. Tom's kindness is what made this happen. His drive to work and support his family never afforded him the time to attend a four-year university, but he did adopt the University of Michigan as his honorary alma mater. Tom loved to watch Michigan football, and some of my favorite memories are the times I was able to invite him to come with me to attend games in person. The joy that he felt with his ear-to-ear grin after Michigan scored a touchdown remains with me to this day. Tom reflects the very best of us, and he had a direct positive influence on my life. I'll miss him dearly, but I'm happy that he is at peace after a difficult period over the last few months. I'll always treasure the memories of him cheering at a race or at a football game, fretting as he micromanaged his stock portfolio, or laughing as he enjoyed the company of friends and family. Tom was one of a kind, and although we are all poorer for having lost him, we're all living in a better place for having known him and loved him. Thank you.
And now Tom's son, Dr. Tom, will also offer a moment of reflection.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here today to help celebrate the life of my father, Thomas Ralph Swoboda. Oh, am I better now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for being here. It is nice to be able to talk about my dad. My mom asked me to do it briefly. She emphasized the word briefly because she knew how hard it would be for me to stay brief about somebody I cared about so much. I think about him all the time, especially the last few months, and just feel blessed that he was part of my life and all our lives. And I know what he did for our family. I know that he was a great son. He was a great brother. He was a great husband. He was a great dad. He was a great grandpa, friend, and neighbor. Just meant so much to so many people. What I'd like to do is just share a couple of brief stories about my personal feelings and thoughts that I have with my dad. And I hope when you hear these that you can think about how he affected or mattered to you and how just a special man he was. The first story actually happened almost 50 years ago. I was 10 years old. Dad came home from work, gave his kiss to Mom like he always did, and then proceeded to talk to me. And he told me that that day he went to a factory that made shopping carts, and he found out that they needed a 10-year-old boy to put wheels on them. And he told them I was looking for a job. Now, I didn't know that I was looking for a job. But before I could tell Dad that, he told me, you know, it will work out great. I'll take you there on Saturday before cartoons, and then pick you up, you know, so you can have dinner. And Sunday we'll do the same thing, but it'll be after church, and then we'll pick you up after that. And then I'm thinking, why are we missing cartoons? And, you know, when am I going to, and then he said, you know, if you do really well, Mom can take you after school to go work. Maybe, you know, a little different when you have basketball practice or something like that. So I realized this was headed in the wrong direction. And so I did what any 10-year-old would do when he thinks his dad is going to make him go work and put wheels on shopping carts. I ran to my room, shut the door, and cried. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know how long it was later, I really don't remember that part. I'm pretty sure Mom and Dad had a little discussion about what happened. It was a little joke that went a little too far, maybe. So I did get a knock on the door. Dad came in, and he told me he was just kidding about, you know, putting the wheels in the shopping carts and that he's going to get me a job. He said, the next thing he said was kind of very interesting. He said, you know, Tommy, there are children in this world your age who do have to work at jobs like that, who have no choice because they need to work for their family so that they can have food or a roof over their head. And they don't get to go to school. And they don't get to spend time with their parents very much. And then he said, when you're old enough to get a worker's permit, we will get you a job. Well, he didn't say we. He said, I will get you a job. But in the meantime, you've got school, you've got your family. Those are the important things. And he made his point. I mean, I began to focus a bit more after that. Things worked out well. But when I was 16, he did get me a job at a Kmart as a stock boy, where I worked with shopping carts, gathering them in the parking lot. At least I didn't have to fix the wheels on any of them. And that was good for me. It was good. He knew it. He knew I needed it. I didn't. But that was my dad, looking ahead, thinking about his kids. I'm sure he did similar stuff for Carrie. He was always thinking of us. So I was fortunate to work harder, get through school, and make it into a very good college. In 4 years there, I was lucky to have 2 degrees and also have an acceptance to medical school. So when graduation time came, Dad and Mom and Carrie came. So did a lot of family. We had a very full, fun weekend. My first remembrance of the weekend is when Dad stopped by my dorm room as I was cleaning things out. And he wanted to talk. I said, okay. He said, no, not here. We need some place quiet. So we went out to the fire escape of the dorm, and we were standing out there. And Dad quizzed me on all the stuff that happened in my 4 years of college. Every single thing. I had told him about it before, but we went over it again, and then we went over what's going to happen during the weekend, that I was going to get an orange hood for my gown and the graduation and all that. And at the end of all that, he just had a huge smile. And he said, Tommy, I'm so proud of you. It was like he trusted me, but he needed verification first that everything was going to end up the way he thought it would. trust but verify type thing. And it was so great. And then, as time went on and I did a whole bunch of things, I spent time in school, spent time at home, never made any money because I was always a student. I finally finished my training program so I could become an emergency physician. We had a small ceremony there in a very cramped room. And it was stuffy and we wanted to leave. And Dad said, no, I need to meet your program director first. I said, oh, you want me to introduce him? He says, no, I'll go talk to him myself. He didn't tell me what he talked to him about, but I found out a few days later from my program director that the conversation went something like this. First, he thanked my program director for taking me in the program and making me a better person, a better doctor. He said, my son is so happy to be the doctor. And then he said his first real question, which was, is he going to graduate? And my program director said, yes, at the end of the month, he'll be done and he'll be able to graduate. And then the real question came, is he going to make money? And again, I told him what my program director was about to tell him, but he needed to hear it from the program. I believe he's taken a job and he's signed a contract, so yes, he's going to make money. And that was all he needed to know. He smiled, thanked him, and again, that big grin, that trust and verify. After that time, my career, Karen's career, took us many places. More than not, we were far away from my parents, Carrie and Chad and the boys. But whenever we came back to visit, it always felt like we hadn't lost a thing. We stepped right in, and we felt right at home. And Dad and Mom had a lot to do with that. Carrie had a lot to do with that. But also, we fixated on making memories, Dad and I. We had a little talk. And I said, rather than buy you stuff for holidays or things or your birthday, let's make memories. Let's do things. So we did things. We'd go on trips. We would, just have meals together. We would spend time, doing special things like going to a game or something like that. Just make these memories. And a few years ago, Dad said, you know what, Tommy? You did a great job making memories is so great. I want to do it. I'm do it with everybody. And he did. He did it with all of us. When he spent time with us, and he was doing things with us, and he had a big smile on his face, he was making these memories. And that was just the most special thing that I think he's ever told me, is how important that was for him. And then, a few years ago, those memories became harder for him to remember. Both the new ones and the ones that he thought he could remember. And we'd bring things up and he'd have a hard time remembering it. And he'd get frustrated. And it got worse over time, to the point where when he was recently in the hospital, things were really bad. And it was clear to all of us in our family that he was living in a state that he did not want to live in. And so our family made the difficult, but we all believe was the correct choice to put him in hospice. And during those 3 days he was in hospice, he was calm, he was at peace, relaxed, like he had not been in some time. The people there treated him well, they treated our family well. We were able to spend time with him. And it was a blessing. And when he died at peace, relaxed and calm, in a way that was, again, something of a blessing. We are so proud and happy that that was how things went, because he was in such pain. And we are very grateful to everyone who helped take care of him. Extremely grateful, including those at the hospice. The reason I bring this up is not to bring about pain or anything. That's quite the opposite. Dad was in pain before all this happened. Not being able to take care of the people he wanted to take care of. He felt like he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do, and it was so frustrating and angry. And you know him. He was going to take care of everyone at every time. So now, I would like to say something to Dad, because I know he's watching and listening to all of this. And I think he thinks I've talked too long already. Dad, thank you. Thank you for taking care of us. We're going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. And we're going to spend time together sometime. And it's all going to be good, and we'll make new memories. There was one thing I said to him when I got to take care of him in June for a few days to help him when he was having trouble. I would put my hand on his shoulder and I would tell him, Dad, I love you. You'll always be my dad, and I will always love you. And he would, 9 times I would say, thank you, son. And whatever peace that brought him, it brought me a great deal of peace. Dad, thank you. Thank you for everything. Please enjoy your eternal peace, and we will see you soon. I love you.
Thank you, Tom. And now it's your turn to share a favorite memory if you would like. For the benefit of those watching on YouTube, I hope you will come up to the microphone so that those at home will be able to hear you. And I'd like to invite anyone to come forward who would like to share a favorite memory.
So much for keeping it brief, Tommy.
Try. That was brief for me.
I just think it's important. Everything that's been said about Tom here is true and amazing. But none of his New England family has been represented yet. I have nothing prepared, but I just want to say a couple of things. First of all, Hulk Hogan, Ozzy Osbourne, and Tom Swoboda. I don't know what that means, but it means something. They're up there. I don't know what they're doing, but they're having a hell of a time. I am Bobby's brother, Terry, from New England. When I was 10 years old, she brought this tall, skinny, Midwestern slang speaking guy into our house. There was 8 of us plus our parents in this little house. We didn't know what to make of him, but we loved him immediately. He fit in like Cinderella's slipper. It was perfect. We loved him from the start. My dad had 6 daughters. No other son-in-law even came close to being what Tom was. Our dad worked 6 or 7 days a week in a paper mill. He rarely smiled. He rarely had fun. But when Tom was around, it was great. He laughed. He smiled. When I was a little older than 10, we built a 2-car garage. Tom helped us. Half of that foundation is beer cans. The garage is still standing, as crooked as it was the day we built it, but it's still there. Just a couple of stories. I'll be brief, Tommy. probably around 1970, Bobby and Tom were living in Iowa. Tommy and Carrie were toddlers, I believe. We drove cross country to spend the 1 week a year my dad had for vacation with them. And it was so ungodly hot there. I mean, it was stifling, unbelievably hot. And Tom being Tom said, gosh darn it, we are not going to do this. I'm going to go buy an air conditioner. And I'm sure, I mean, air conditioners back then cost about the same price they do now. It had to have hammered his budget, but that's the way he was. He wasn't going to have people in his house uncomfortable. So off they went, came back with an air conditioner, threw it in the window in the dining room, and we sat there and played cards all week. Well, at some point, Tom and my dad, who really had a lot of fun together, needed more beer. So Bobby said, look, when you go to the store, grab some soda for all the kids. I'm sure Tom took my dad to his store at the time and gave him the grand tour, but they eventually came back home with three cases of beer and a 6-pack of soda. And they just had so much fun together, and it's a great memory for me. And just one last thing, Tommy and Carrie, I know Tom talked about his grandkids all the time. He was so proud of you too. You have no idea how proud he was. Talked about you guys even more. And Nick and Max, I hope you had a chance to take a lot from your grandpa. But the greatest gift you can give your grandma is talk to her whenever you can. Ask her about Pepperell. Ask her about Fort Devens. Ask her about being in Boston the day JFK was assassinated. Ask her about Germany, Iowa, Minnesota, California, Detroit. Get those memories into your head, because when you get to be my age, you're going to wish you had. And that's all I have.
Is there anyone else? I know it's difficult to get up in front of a group of people and speak, so let's take a moment in silence to remember a favorite memory of Tom in our own hearts. It has been said that when through one man a little more love and goodness, a little more light of the truth comes into the world, then that man's life has had meaning. Ladies and gentlemen, your beloved Tom's life has had meaning. He has left a mark on this world, and he will be deeply missed. We promise never to forget him, and we will honor his memory by living our lives as he would want us to. We will take the joy and happiness we had in this life and share it freely with others. In doing that, he will always be with us, and we will always remember him. So as we close today, I again want to thank all of you who are here in person for attending our services, and I do want to thank those of you who are with us over YouTube. As you probably know, you do have the opportunity to leave a condolence or to share a memory or to send a message to the family, and we certainly hope that you will do so while you are viewing the service today. Let's close our time now with a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we again give thanks today for the life of Thomas R. Swoboda, and for the blessing he was to his family and friends. We pray that he will find relief and comfort from the sorrows and hardships of this life, and we give thanks that he is now at peace. We ask that from the great beyond he will watch over us and that he will guide us as we navigate the days and weeks and years ahead without him in this life. Welcome him into the kingdom of heaven and reunite him with all his loved ones and friends, and ask them to prepare a place for us to join them when it is our turn. Help us to be aware that Tom is always with us, even though we cannot see him, and may the lessons he taught us and the memories we have of him never fade. Let us find strength in his qualities and the example he set for us, and help us to take comfort in knowing his love for us has not diminished or gone away. Help him to live on in us, and help us to always be thankful for all that he did for us. And may he rest in peace. Amen.